There we go. Hello and welcome to Three Geeks Memorial Day podcast. Here with my brother Omar. We're here to talk to you guys about actually something important for once. We I was in the military. Omar was in the military. We joined at the same time. I got out and couldn't be happier. But this guy is doing the right thing, and he's doing some work. And so there's some legislation going down that you just kind of fell into that you're trying to help out with. So we want to talk about that a little bit, and hopefully spread the word and get some support for this going. So and Omar, go ahead and talk about what's going on here.
All right. Thanks for the intro. First,
Sergeant Omar.
so yeah. Once a Marine, always Marine. Sergeant Andrews here. Just go by Omar now. Ben,
You just call me sir.
Yeah. But we started out with Memorial Day. Obviously, the whole thing wrapped around this weekend isn't just barbecues and having a good time. Just taking some time out, remember why we're doing this. There's a lot of people out there that wish they could have brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, dads, moms, and they're no longer with us. So take some time out, kind of remember that, and honor the fallen. Onto so what's called the bill, so basically a lot of people don't know the GI Bill. It hasn't been this just, oh hey, you serve and then you get to go to school for free. It's been this evolving thing throughout our history, and actually even veterans going to education like literally dates back to the Civil War. So this is something that veterans are doing since there's been U.S. veterans, or even prior to the United States being the United States. But you understand what I'm saying.
So the United States was the United States in the Civil War.
No, did I say Civil War? I meant Revolutionary War. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah. So Revolutionary War, yes. There were just documented that veterans were getting out of the Revolutionary War, fighting and saying how do I better my life, and using higher education to do that. So eventually in the 40s it actually became into legislation where they're just trying to do different things in order to make sure that veterans are getting their due. You serve the country. Here's some things that the country can kind of give back to you to make your life, your family's life, more successful. So as of right now, where are we at? We're in what's called the Post 9/11 GI Bill, which offers a lot of great benefits. I'm actually currently using Post 9/11, and it's great for me, all the benefits that I get. So I go to school, and all my tuition paid for. I get a book stipend, which helps. Depending on the books, it doesn't quite reach all the way, but that's one of the minor issues. Your monthly BAH, so your basic housing allowance for housing. For those of you not military inclined, basically, just like a check to make sure you can pay the bills.
We'll try to watch his acronyms during this. It might get a little crazy.
Yeah, sorry about that. But no, just check every month to make sure that you pay your bills. So what's the harm? It sounds like a great thing.
I mean, it's a solid.
So, it sounds amazing, right? People are like, oh man, especially too, you talk about people that are student loan debt. It's a big thing. Yes, I served in the military to get these benefits, but I still feel like I'm lucky that I'm not going to have to get into that student loan crisis. But where it falls short is, for one thing, I think the biggest thing for me is that not every Purple Heart recipient is actually eligible for the GI Bill. And so that's one thing that I think is, and it's another thing.
Oh, because you don't serve your whole time or whatever.
Well, it's like if you a lot of times for reservists, they don't do a certain amount of active duty, then they just don't get the GI Bill. But that's one of the things that's on the table to really get changed. I think hammered out at first is because that's just a disgrace. I mean, if you're thinking about traumatic brain injuries, TBIs, and, guys coming back with all types of, head trauma, and then even the more easily physical, injuries where, guys are coming home missing fingers and limbs and all this, that, yeah, there's a chance that they could leave their right leg in Afghanistan, come home, and they say, "Oh, sorry, you don't get the job.
You don't.
You don't. Yeah, you have not given enough." So I think that's one of the things that's really on the table to get fixed first, because it's egregious. And so yeah, that's for me too. That's like things like, no, yeah, you've definitely paid enough. Another thing too is that's a big thing. Kind of stepping more into the academics of it is that the STEM. So that's not just military acronym.
No,
so,
it's not. So what is STEM?
So the science, technology, engineering, and math. Yes, mathematics. So all the STEM fields, all the stuff that I don't get into. A lot of those degrees, it takes longer than 4 years. So the GI Bill will provide you with about 4 years worth of college, and all of it breaks it down into months, and you can actually take as many credits as you want per semester. But obviously, if you've got to work, if you've got a family, if you just want to enjoy your life and do something other than go to school,
24/7.
80 hours a week, that's not really feasible. But so a lot of these STEM degrees take longer. They take about 5 years, and so for or maybe possibly longer. So for what's being called the forever GI Bills, like one of the new things they're trying to get is for those STEM research or degrees. Yeah. And so that kind of keeps the veteran population out of that, trying to dive into student loans, or just simply not giving it, not being able to finish their degree, which would be a shame. If you put in 4 years of time, and
effort,
you're like, you're just 2 semesters short of
capability. You still have to be passing all your classes too, right?
Well, there are some rules. So you just, I mean, not necessarily. Like you could go through, and as long as the college will say yes, you can still take classes. You could potentially fail every class you take.
Okay. Well, I thought you had to at least be passing too. So that's
no. That's usually you have to be going to class. So like some of that things too is like if you if you keep failing, college is gonna tell you to pound sand, get out of here. However, though, that's not really the case for veterans. Veterans actually have statistically a higher GPA than our civilian counterpart students. They're veterans who graduate at a higher rate. So this is all studies that were done through Student Veterans of America, and they did an invest just study. They just took all of the data of that the VA has of every GI Bill recipient, yeah, and they just crunched the numbers, and they pretty much showed that veterans are performing at a higher level, which makes sense. It makes sense, and not to say that hey, veterans we're better.
We're totally better than you.
But it kind of makes sense if you're gonna take if a group of people who are 18 to 22, and then you take a group of people who are 22 to 30, 32, even maybe even older, and just say who's going to perform better at academia. The best bet is on the people who have a little more life experience and things of that nature. And then you factor in the things that kind of are common against all like all military branches. It's just hey, you've worked for something at some point in life.
And also, if you've been in any military branch, you've sat through 800,000 classes.
That's a very, very good point. Yeah, the death by PowerPoint is.
So there are techniques you learn to stay focused and stay awake.
Yeah.
During the most boring of presentations.
Yeah. So there's that. You've been prepared for to sit there and stare at somebody. So that's kind of like one of the, yeah, I guess one of the big things of Pride is that, hey, if you're a veteran, know that we're doing good for ourselves as far as in the academic community. But
is there like anything else you want to like change?
So
focusing on negative areas of the current GI Bill.
And one of the things they're trying to change is make it for life. So as of right now, the GI Bill, if you don't use it if you don't use it in 15 years, it goes away. And so we're trying to make it like a lifetime thing, just like a one. Yeah, one for one. Serve, you get it. There's no timeline. There's no this, that, whatever. And that just gives people a little bit more flexibility. Like I know, a buddy of mine who, he got out. He's like working on his family's farm for a few years, and then he's actually now just getting into some security work and stuff like that. And he should be able to do that and not have to think, I might lose my GI Bill soon, so what am I doing? He should be able to have his whole long career, and he'd be 70 years old and say, you know what, I want to learn. I want to learn something.
Yeah.
And it should be available to him because he earned it. That's the bottom line. Yeah. You earn it. You should be able to use it. This is not like milk in the fridge.
Like June 17th.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the big things actually, and that's kind of like we use the hashtag Forever GI Bill, and that's kind of just like what it means. That once you earn it, no, it's forever. And so kind of like got to go more into the nitty gritty about it. So basically how the student veterans of America are trying to really get behind this and how to pay for it is to reinstate a payment plan that is from the Montgomery GI Bill or similar to it. So basically, and
Montgomery is the one previous to the 9/11. Right?
Yes, okay. So that was previous to 9/11, and that was the one where people actually had to pay into it. So you pay in $100 every month for 12 months, and then hey, you get your GI Bill. With the proposal, with the proposed Forever GI Bill, kind of what they're thinking about is doing a 2-year payment plan. So instead of $1,200 in it, paying $2,400 that you pay into it, and then after that, your GI Bill's for life. If you're doing STEM, you got 5 years. If and that thing too is like you could have if any guys paying into it, that if you get, they're looking to open it up to different discharges. So
right now it's if you're honorable discharge, that's the only one that gets it. If you're like, you don't have to be there's lots of classifications that aren't dishonorable but are not honorable either.
Yeah,
they're in between. So it's like I got out general under honorable conditions. So it's like there's but I don't qualify for the GI Bill.
So yeah, that's kind of the thing that kind of goes in line with kind of like the Purple Heart recipients, is that you have people who served, they serve their country, and it really doesn't take much to get general under honorable conditions. It doesn't take much.
I got fat shamed out of the military.
You could make you could make a mistake, and then or you could have leadership that just doesn't like you, for whatever reason. And like these things can kind of be arbitrary. It's not necessarily something that is like it's very cut and dry as far as this guy's a bad person that does not deserve to get higher education. Like this is not the case.
Yeah.
And a lot of issues also derive from just like some mental health issues. Sometimes things happen in the military. People aren't in the right place. They're in the right mindset, and they can do something. And I'm not trying to excuse anybody from anything. Mistake, you need to pay for that mistake, but that should be a defined thing. It shouldn't continue on to hurt you for your entire life. Well, I mean, like you kill somebody, like okay, yeah, go to jail.
Yeah, but that's paying.
Like there's serious things, but there's guys, yeah, if a guy gets a DUI, no, Like give him his education.
Yeah.
You know, he's still deployed. He still, you know, did his job. You make one mistake, you know, the guy's still in my mind, and you know, a lot of other veterans too. You know, we shouldn't let mistake have to pay for that mistake their entire lives. So that's kind of one of the big things too.
All right, that's the general.
Yeah. Well, actually, now, so initially there was some tension, I guess, between the veterans groups, as far as you know what the changes were going to be, and how it was all going to get paid for.
Right. Yeah. That's always.
Yeah. So there were some groups that thought, you know, like it was like kind of taxing the lowest ranks of the. It would be like a low rank tax, pretty much. And you know, from my point of view, like, hey, you know, people paid into it, and it's an option, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know what taxes are. You know, you get to choose which one you
Okay.
pay.
So speaking of option though, could they like, let's say my first, you know, year and a half, I don't want to be on the jail. Like, let's say, like, okay, I thought about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start paying in. They can do that.
As long as I'm pretty sure what they're trying to, like, in that sense, like all these are proposed changes and stuff like that. Nothing's ever, you know, set in stone. But the idea is that if you've got 2 years left on your contract and you say, hey, I want to spend these last 2 years paying the job bill so I can get it out, no
so
problem.
It's not necessarily
Exactly. But it's that front loading is kind of usually is they need a big portion to front load it,
right,
in order to start having the benefits happen now. You know, if it's 2 or 3 years down the road, people are starting to make this decision, then, you know, they might not even do it 2 or 3 years down the road, or and you know, it's like everything that you're trying, all the benefits you're trying to get out, you know, might not necessarily get out.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some tension. You know, people, you know, there's some vet groups going against other vet groups, and then, you know, there's some media outlets that took it and ran with it because they just love the confrontation. But it was
Green Juice
about
podcast is not about confrontation.
yeah, we're about solutions. But I think it was about a week and a half ago. Actually, like, all these veterans organizations came together, and it was like one of the biggest collective, of the leadership of these groups. You know, obviously, like, I'm with the SVA. They, you know, like the head guys there.
The what?
The SVA, Student Veterans of America. Sorry. So the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, Iraq and Afghanistan vets, all, you know, there's so many more. Like, I really can't even name them all.
The United Nations of veterans.
Essentially, yes, yeah. Essentially, the United Nations of veterans groups, or veterans advocacy groups. We're there, and they pretty much started just hashing out. They said, hey, what do we both agree on that we can just say, hey, let's work on that now, and then here are the things that we disagree on. And we can start hashing that out.
We know we're going to argue. Let's not argue first, and then we'll
argue. Yeah. So, which I love. You know, I love that they're able to just say, you know, there's something bigger than my opinion. There's something bigger than my feelings. Me and you can disagree, but, you know, that's what compromise. That's what democracy is all about, right?
Also, you know, because like today, where it seems like you're on one side or you're on the other side, and there's no talking between. There's no anything. So, like, yeah, that's really cool. That, you know, it's like, hey, like, you know, we have different political beliefs. Obviously, we have different, you know, agendas or different people in mind, and we're trying to help everybody. So yeah, that is really cool that, you know, they're able to come together and start with the dialogue, you know, and not just start yelling at each other.
That's like, that's what I saw it as, is that, you know, as veterans, like you can see, like, we are, like, that's what should be leading the nation right there. You know, it has nothing to do with political ideology. It has everything to do with how do you solve problems. And then, yes, so me getting on one side and yelling as loud as I can, while you get on the other side and yell as loud as you can. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you cannot. No, it doesn't solve anything. And so I am just, I was impressed. I'm proud to even wear the title veteran, because these vets groups, they got out there, and I wish this was the story. This should be.
Well, it is now.
Three
Geeks Podcast, bring it to you live.
They got it first. No, this should be really like the story of hey, America, it can be done.
This is how it's supposed to work.
This is how it's supposed to work. You think about the draft of the Constitution. There's a bunch of old dudes that got in the room and said we're not leaving. And now that's not necessarily the case. It's just let me scream, let me call names, blah 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 blah.
Oh, it's fake.
Fake news. You are fake news.
I can't stand it. Politics is off-putting at just to the nth degree, because you never feel like you don't accomplish anything. Like, even if you were trying, like, all I'm trying to do is say my piece, you never even get that. And yeah, again, like, it's just really cool that people are coming together and then not just thinking about themselves and how does this promote me.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, the whole idea of like the GI Bill, like, no one that's trying to propose any changes, like, they're not gonna get anything out of it.
Right.
I'm like, I'm trying to help in any way that I can. If I get zero, I will not be affected by this whatsoever. But it's not about me; it's about what's right.
And the principle. What you went through, and the guys coming behind you are going through the same stuff, and it's like, well, X, Y, and Z can be better.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Okay, I'm not gonna, I'm not worried about boot camp or anything. I'm not worried about these kids, like, going through it, but they're still there. It's not like because I'm not a part of it that they're not there.
Yeah. No, and also, I mean, our dad who's in the Army, and talking to him about it, it was the same type of one of the things his concern was like, hey, when he was first in the military, he had our older sister,
wife and a kid already.
Had a wife and a kid already, and then you were on the like shortly after, and he said, yeah, if I had to pay $100 every month, it would have killed me. And I think too was like realizing, like, we are in a different situation now than than Dad was when he was in.
But I mean, like, I think that if we were trying to propose something like this back then, it would have been $100 out of your check.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Is like it probably would have been a little bit different.
$20.
But no, I think what's great, is that there was so many different opinions coming from different experiences, and different belief systems, all this, that, and whatever. And unless you really get in front of someone's face and take all that down, like, let's analyze, what our differences are and our similarities. And I guarantee you, there's someone on the other end of the planet, that's could be physically exact opposite of me, but we're always gonna have more in common than we do, than differences. So it's pretty cool just to see that happening and actually see some movement on this, to make some changes and try and take care of the people coming behind us.
So where can if we're trying to, like, okay, I want the forever GI Bill to happen. Do I need to like storm the halls of City Hall?
No.
Do I need to burn down the post office or something to, like, strike out against?
No, not at least not yet. So as right now, this is that summit, that was just like about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So as of right now, I guess just keep your head, keep ears open for it, to make sure it's coming along. So after pretty much the groups kind of lay out something that everyone's like, okay, hey, this is what we're going to pass on. They'll pass on to the Senate Committee for Veterans Affairs, or Veteran Services, and then they talk it over, and then if they like it, then then it goes on to Congress, where they actually start voting on it and put it into place. So this is a long process.
Yeah, we're at the beginning.
Obviously, obviously,
some only you'll be. It takes.
Yeah, Schoolhouse Rock did a lot, probably better job than I did explaining it, but But just you got to keep your eyes and ears open. Make sure. I would say just make sure if you ever see, you know, like the hashtag Forever GI Bill, that's what we're talking about. That's the support, that's the movement.
Yeah, we'll throw that in, and we'll try to get some links that maybe you can go to in our description.
Yeah, if I could do a shameless plug, I guess, you know, Student Veterans of America, studentvets.org is their the website. So if you just jump on there, you'll be able to find everything, and actually looking also into the Invest study that kind of shows how awesome veterans are. So they got all that on there. Yeah.
Omar, is there anything else you can think of that people need to know or that they should, you know, do? I mean, obviously, you know, just again, you're saying it's just beginning, but the only way to keep these things in line and keep them moving forward is to keep them relevant. So, you know, send a letter. I mean, obviously, like, no one does this. No one's gonna watch it. Call your congressman. Send a letter. Like, if it's important to you, you know, if you're a veteran, if, you know, and then you haven't thought about it in a long time, get back in touch with some people. Let them know that you're thinking about it, and just keep it afloat. Because the only thing that's gonna kill it is just, you know, the ignorance of it, and also the more people are paying attention to it, the less people get to fuck around with it. Oh, sorry, but the less people get to, you know, the more in the public it is, the more straightforward it's going to stay, and then that's important too.
Yeah. So transparency, yeah, it's very, very important. And also, yeah, just I'd say overarching, you know, going past the GI Bill is just remember, you know, the costs. Sorry, you got to remember the cost of war. That's like, I mean, Memorial Day, it all ties in. This GI Bill stuff, it ties in. Every veterans group that you see, all of that ties into the cost of war. You know, we're going to send our young citizens out into the world to do these things. You know, when they come back, we need to make sure that they're taken care of in more ways than one. So.
Yep. All right. Cool. Omar, thanks for coming on and you know, sharing with us and you know, like, making our podcast a little more legit. But no, you got guys, get out there, you know, support your veterans, have a Memorial Day, all that stuff. Hug a veteran if you've got one in the family. And yeah, you know, just like get out there, Forever GI.
Forever GI Bill.
Forever GI Bill. Hashtag Forever GI Bill. And you said studentvets.org.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, go, you know, just pop on there, let them know that they got your support, and yeah, this has been Max from 3 Geeks, special guest Omar Andrews, my brother, and we'll catch you guys next time.